Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the BB-Scho. We're here for our Monday recap of week 17 now.
Mm,
We're moving along in the season. Playoff season is alive. A lot of teams are in do or die mode. But before we dive in, man, we got for you today. We got a quick fantasy recap for you guys, and then we're just gonna go through the games, man, because there were some good ones, and we'll talk about the ones that matter. There's a couple that don't matter at all, so you know we won't talk about those very much. But with that being said, Thursday night football, Cowboys at Titans. We had Jake on. He took the Cowboys, and so did we. We both, all three of us took the Cowboys, and all three of us hit that one. Anything crazy for you from this game?
other than the sense that the Titans they get let off the hook for not like winning the division this year when you feel more confident as a coach because I trust Mike Vrabel's coach. If anyone else wants to push back on that, go for it. But ultimately, he took over a Titans team that was if they had an 8-8 season, it was like, oh, this team's like they were bad for a long time,
Yeah,
and he has made them contenders. And I
Divi-
understand amongst
division
other things,
dominance.
like Derrick Henry, among other things. But I would say we've seen especially a lot this year. Vikings are a great example of just how big of a difference coaching can make.
Mm-hmm.
And when he is saying, I feel better about going into tonight with Josh Dobbs. I understand Malik Willis is a rookie, but nonetheless, for this pivotal Week 18 matchup, they don't have a sufficient QB option. I'm not saying Malik Willis is a bust, and yeah, but like it's too early for him. They don't have anybody else lined up, and unless Derrick Henry just quite literally puts the team on his back, which he usually does, but I'm talking like a 200-yard performance, this team is probably going to get bounced. They have no depth. Everybody's hurt. It's just they got a lot of
Yeah, they've
restructuring to
got.
do.
Have you seen the stat? They've been the number one team for IR designations for 4 straight years.
That's just unreal. The,
I
the
mean,
amount of just luck, like
there's
bad
a
luck
lot of
that goes
luck
into
in that,
that.
but it does make you wonder, man. And not a lot of people say this, but like, yeah, it's a lot of luck when it comes to like ACLs and stuff. But maybe you need to revamp your strength staff. I mean, there's things you don't think about
Or
where it's like, if
practice schedule. I have no
yeah, or
idea what's
maybe it
going
is
on
the
down there in
practice
Tennessee.
schedule, something like that, where it's like, this is such a you don't that doesn't happen, man. You don't for 4 years straight lead the league in IR designations unless there's a common trend that they're missing.
Right.
Maybe Vrabel's a meathead in camp and he puts everybody's bodies behind. They have a
I wouldn't
tendency
be
to fall off
shocked.
in the end of the season, right? Maybe that's what it is. They work
Yeah,
too
yeah.
hard in camp, practice too much, and then they lose their legs in the back half. But when it comes to the Titans, the thing that I always remember is Vrabel's reaction on draft day when the GM traded AJ Brown,
Yeah.
and now that GM is no longer there. So
Yeah.
it makes me think. I think of that almost every day now, or every time I see the Titans. Not every day. Vrabel's not living in my head rent free, but yeah, every time I talk about the Titans, I think about that. That just clear misalignments of purpose, vision, team, I guess, future. And
So a
when
lot of
you have
turmoil
things,
this year.
yeah, when you have things like this, Henry's approaching 30. Malik Willis is not looking good, and here we are back against the wall to barely win the AFC South after dominating it. Vrabel's not going anywhere, but it's just makes you wonder.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. There could definitely be some adjustment because, it has worked, but I would concur that if it was like over the course of 2 years, you could be like, well, look a little funny at their practice habits and whatnot. But you could write it off as a coincidence. When it's 4 years straight,
Yeah,
something's going on down there in Tennessee.
yeah,
I'm not going to be the guy that pinpoints what it is. All we can really do is speculate. But major problem, man, and it's really coming back to bite them this year. They really don't got a whole lot of depth. So in terms of comments on the game as a whole, not a whole lot. Cowboys are still actually, I believe, in position to get the division, which
yeah,
is crazy. But
yeah.
yeah,
They
for the
are.
Titans, hopefully you get a miracle. But even if they get in, it's like, what is a team led by Malik Willis slash Josh Dobbs and a bunch of second stringers? What Derrick Henry gonna do? I just don't love logistics of that, and
I
that's
do
really
want it to
all.
be
That's
said
my two
though.
cents.
I do want to get on the record. Go check the receipts. I think it was like week 13 or 14. I mentioned a path for the Jaguars to get to the playoffs, and we were mapping it out. And
And made it.
yeah,
That map is gold.
the map has made it. The Jaguars haven't made it yet, but the map has made it, and the Jaguars are one of the hotter teams in football right now,
Mm-hmm.
and not getting a lot of talk. The Chargers are kind of stealing all the AFC thunder in terms of teams that are hot right now. So, um, Cardinals, Falcons move off Thursday night. We all picked the Falcons here. Young Hoi Koo knocks in a game winner at the buzzer. Just a classic Cliff Kingsbury loss here. Um, no heart, no second half. I didn't even watch most of this game, honestly. Like it's irrelevant at this point. You know, it's
Yeah, I'll give credit to David Blau, Hard Knocks hero from the Lions. Actually played for the Cardinals. He was a starter for some reason. Uh, did all right. Given the circumstances, playing with, Cliff Kingsbury as a coach. I
yeah,
think we've agreed at this point has become more of a hindrance than a plus. And it was a bunch of just kind of second and third stringers that were out there. It kind of seems like the Cardinals are throwing in the towel. So to keep that competitive, I will give credit to Blau and fighting through the circumstances where like Zach Wilson's on a pretty competent Jets team and is just trash. So when I want to see a quarterback performance that's solid, I got to shout that out. But yeah, I'm not gonna listen. If people are gonna get upset that we're not spending a lot of time on your team, uh, make sure your team's competitive at this point in the year. This is both teams are now 6-10 and 4-12 respectively. What is there to talk about? You can take the floor if you have something else to say, but even next week when we do a recap, I saw some of the games coming up, and it's like, might have a shorter recap next week too, man. There's gonna be some good
yeah,
games, but there's some. It's like this has no value for anything other than draft position.
yeah. That takes us. This is interesting. Okay, so I picked the Patriots to beat the Dolphins,
Mm.
and you and Jake both took the Dolphins. So
Mm-hmm.
I got one here on you, but
Mm-hmm.
the Dolphins. I don't think they're in the playoffs, man. They're 8-8. They've lost five straight, and they do not control their own destiny. And the
Yeah,
Patriots, all they need
if they
is
win, they're in.
if they win, they're in. Is that what it is?
Yeah, they control their own destiny now,
Yeah.
but they have to beat
If
the
but they
Bills.
beat the Bills.
So it's like
Yeah,
kind of
and I'm
tough.
pretty sure the Dolphins get in on a number of different scenarios here. Um, they need the Patriots to lose. If they don't, if the Dolphins lose, they're out for sure.
Mhm.
If the Patriots win,
They might just need a Patriots loss. I don't
I
know the
think they
whole.
just need a win and a Patriots loss. I think that's what it
Yeah,
comes down to for the Dolphins. But I don't even know if Tua is going to be healthy. And I'm just going to be honest. I don't see them winning. The Dolphins, who do they play next week? Um,
it might be the Jets.
oh,
Yeah,
if it's the Jets, I might see them winning, man. Oh, it is the
it's
Jets.
possible. I just don't love. It's very hard to run a consistent uh, game plan, game script when your quarterback is getting like you don't know who your quarterback is week to week.
Yeah.
I feel like we've seen a lot of Skylar Thompson, and for those who don't know who that is their third string quarterback. You don't usually see a consistent third string quarterback throughout the year. It's
Yeah,
just
and we've
between
seen
Tua
them a
missing
number of
games.
times this year.
Yeah, and it's not that Bridgewater's played bad. It's like Tua goes down, and the next week Bridgewater goes down, and those are just tough games to win. It's tough to win a game in the NFL, let alone when you don't know who your quarterback is going to be. That's why it's like if they miss the playoffs, I think this team is still going to be very good next year. They showed a lot of promising signs. It's just
Yeah, I'm a
the
little worried.
Tua
I
concussion
think
thing is intriguing.
I'm a
It,
little
it
worried
really
about their.
is.
I'm a little worried about their defense. I'm going to be honest. They run so much man coverage, and it just has not held up that well this year. It's kind of been their Achilles heel. Like their offense has been so great. They've had quarterback injury problems, yes, but when it comes to the teams that they would have to play in the AFC playoffs, like the Bills or the Bengals or the Chiefs, I mean, those three teams are going to shred man coverage, especially the Bengals.
Right.
And the Dolphins are so reliant on it. They've invested so much money in that secondary. It's just not as good as it needs to be, I guess. They do, they
It'll
traded
be
for
better
Bradley
next year, in
Chubb.
my opinion.
Like they traded for Bradley Chubb, and their pass rush somewhat improved, but it's not what they were hoping for. The defense is just mediocre, and I think in the AFC at this point, it needs to be really good if they're going to have a chance. As great as that offense is, it's just not consistent enough. Or at least this year, Tua has not been healthy enough to just go outscore everybody. You know,
No, it's fair take. I mean, it really is. It's they could look similar to the Vikings, this year if they had to for every single game.
man,
They could have that great record.
just when you say that name, I laugh. But keep going.
No, that's really all that is. Like, this is an elite offense. I don't think if the offense is healthy next year and they're as a total of a defense just in the top half, I think they'll make noise. That's the kind of the Bengals MO. But we'll see. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's just that for this season though, even if they find a way to sneak in that AFC, they're done.
Which is crazy because I feel like at one point this year we were considering them like
I was like
real
sleeper contender. They might be
contenders.
last, like this year's Bengals of last year were like they kind of
And
surprised everybody. You
they were
haven't seen
eight and
it. And,
three, man. They were eight
mm-hmm.
and three.
Even the
They
Jets were
beat the
6-3. It's
Bills.
not as good, but I mean, we were both. I don't say both, but I know I made a take. I was like, well, all these teams are going to make it, and you're like, the Patriots won't. But now it's
Dude,
the only
credit to the
teams that are going to make it
Patriots.
might be the Bills and Patriots. Like those, quite literally, the Jets and Dolphins look like they're both going to miss, and those were the teams that was like with confidence should be shoe-ins at the time when we were watching ball. But
Yeah.
and both
Yeah.
teams just went ice cold at the
Sh-
wrong times.
shout out to the Patriots, man, because with everything they've been through, if they win and get in, I mean, that is just a heck of a
Typical
season.
classic Bill Belichick,
Just a
just
heck of a
classic
season, right? Like they gave that game away to the Raiders, and
Raiders. Yeah,
they've had a lot of close calls, and it's just man, I wouldn't count them out in the playoffs. They're just that one team that's just so good defensively that they can sneakily just like knock someone off, and it's like, did that really just happen, right? Like did they really just beat Miami or whoever, right?
right,
And
right.
did they really knock off the I'm blanking, but who would I don't think they beat the Bills, Patriots, or the Bengals, but they, the Ravens or somebody that we thought was a higher level
I
team.
don't know if Patriots did that. They just
Um,
found a way to stay afloat. But again, you give credit.
yeah,
It reminds me of the Tomlin ideology, where they just find a way to win.
yeah. All right, so shout out Jake. He's the only one who picked the Saints. I know he's listening, so great pick here with the Saints over the Eagles because they
Unreal.
looked horrible in the first half. Man, I mean, it was utterly a defense, and that's exactly what he said thought might happen, which is even crazier. But just a
Yeah.
defensive masterclass in the first half from the Saints, and really to hold this high-powered offense just to 10 points. I mean, they shredded the Cowboys the week before with Minshew, so I'm a little
Yeah.
concerned about the Eagles, and I want to say why here because regardless of their quarterback injuries, they are cold at the wrong time.
Yeah,
They're
from
still
an
they're
assessment,
still
yeah.
legit, but then you have if they don't get that bye, I'm pretty concerned. But even if I am, Hertz has got to play this week because they're going to play for the number one seed. If they look even remotely rusty, I'm a little concerned because now you're looking at a couple weeks. He's played one game in 5 weeks, 4 weeks, right? And you're
Hmm.
looking at the rust factor, and you guys have won 2 games in the last month. You're not doing what you were doing before. So um, I am cautious with the Eagles. That's the word I'll use. But what are your thoughts?
Um, I guess, well, it would have to, I mean, to pivot games, but what are you thinking of the Vikings? Because that's the team where I'm like, Yeah, they concern me on what they're gonna do in the playoffs. The Eagles, I am gonna write it off in the sense that like Minshew is not the same. He's a good quarterback in my eyes. He's not this. You don't run your offense the same way with Gardner Minshew.
And
Plain and
that's
simple. He's
the
competent.
problem.
Like this is a number one. Like and at times number one. I don't know what they rank for the year, but a very effective and efficient, nonetheless, running game between Jalen Hurts and Miles Sanders and the little actions they can get from motion and whatnot. Gardner Minshew is not going to give you that. He's a great, fantastic back in that like Jimmy G esque tier of quarterback for me personally.
Yeah.
And when he didn't have the greatest game, it was his second start of the year. I'm just trying to pump the brakes a bit. I'm seeing your concern because obviously this is not something you want to see. You
Yeah.
see your team that has lost one game all year now lose two straight. They got a big game coming up, and then yeah, if you see some rust, it's like, well, how confident are you going to the playoffs?
I
But
just don't want Hurts to be a little rusty and then get to the playoffs and have a really bad first quarter and then just, fighting an uphill battle the rest of the day. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
but I would also argue that this is a team that would be capable of overcoming that,
absolutely.
and I don't want to write
Absolutely.
off what they've done really all year. With a lot of people would have him as an MVP front runner. At least in the conversation. I know up there with like Mahomes and Justin Jefferson, whatever. Not having Jalen Hurts is a huge deal. And again, if he gets hurt at the wrong time, that is gonna that's gonna
Yeah.
suck for them.
And by no
But
means am I saying that Philadelphia is not capable of overcoming a poor start to a playoff game. But I'm just saying it's hard to do. It's the playoffs, man. Like, that's who cares how many games you won in the regular season? Who cares? Like, it's one and done,
right,
right? So if you have a bad first quarter, fight that uphill battle. More power to you if you can overcome it. But you're playing some of the other best teams in football. You're not playing the Indianapolis Colts, and you can go down 33 points at halftime. I know that was the Vikings, but you get my point. Um,
mm-hmm.
so just a concern, but I agree with everything you said. How about this though? Answering a little bit of the doubt. I know we all picked them, but the Giants with a blowout victory over the Colts, 38-10. I think the Colts at this point have really, I mean, more than maybe any other team, just thrown in the towel.
Yeah,
It's very clear. I mean, no
very
Jonathan
apparent.
Taylor. They're down to Sam Ellinger. Nick Foles goes out. I mean, we're just, I just know that this is funny, but I saw a video. It's like every Patriots fan gets so mad every time Nick Foles plays now because he's not good. And he just
Yeah,
randomly was so great for like 5 game stretch just to
that
beat
Joe
Brady.
Flacco gene, man. I don't know what to tell you. It's kind of unreal because yeah, it's and not only been porous with the Colts, but like everywhere he's been, like since that run, the Bears, the Jags,
Yeah.
just bad.
But he's but
No way
he's
to put
but
it.
he's sitting on a
As much as
Super
we
Bowl
love him, man.
MVP trophy.
Yeah, I love the guy, but that is just absurd. Maybe
Yeah.
needs to go back to the Jags. Doug Peterson's there, and he'd probably be a sufficient backup to Trevor Lawrence.
T-ball.
But yeah, shout out Giants. Not really a whole much a lot to say though. I mean, they didn't need a huge Saquon day. I will say this: I think whether Giants fans, NFL fans like the idea or not, Daniel Jones is going to be the quarterback for this team next year.
Dude, he needs
Uh,
to be. I'm sick of
I don't,
this.
I don't think, I don't think, especially after what he did in a game that meant a lot for the Giants. I mean, I don't even think they had technically clinched.
No, this put him in.
He was
They're
great.
in.
He was great. And so even if they have a bad, one and done playoff stretch, they got there. And I think he's going to get that just based on the fact it's going to be a lot of quarterback movement in the offseason. I think a lot, probably like 10 to 12, maybe 14 teams even. Right now, you're really kind of unsure what situation's going to be, how confident you are in your guy. So that's just my take on it. I don't know if you have anything else to add. I mean, Colts, what is there to talk about?
No, it just hurts, man.
It's just
At least
pain.
I can
Yeah.
chalk it up to like the crazy stuff. Going back to the Super Bowl pick, at least like chalk it up to like they pull their
Matt Ryan
quarterback
not
and
being Matt Ryan.
yeah, I mean, but it doesn't excuse it. There's a poor take. It's aged probably worse than anything I've ever said before in my life.
It's pretty
But
bad, man.
yes, I'd rather them like be 4-10 and just horrible than like what they were last year, right? Like
That's fair
this
take.
dark horse team that everyone's like, dude, they got a shot, right? And then like they missed the playoffs. Like I'd rather them just
They
be.
went cold at a bad time too
They did, they did,
last
they
year.
did.
They really had people forget about that.
But as
Because
for Daniel
yeah,
Jones, man, I saw a stat. It was like his 4 years, like his first year had like 20 something turnovers. Then it was like 15. Then last year he had like 10. And now he only has 8 on the entire year,
oh
picks
wow,
and
yeah.
fumbles combined. He's clearly getting better and better as time goes on. And there's been multiple games this year. I don't know if anybody could play a better game at quarterback with what he's being given. This one included.
That is a very fair, yeah, analysis that I think people overlook. Is that
Like,
might be one of the worst receiver rooms in the
He's
NFL.
got
Could
he's
be the
got guys
worst.
that aren't getting open. He's not turning the ball over. He's getting the running back involved greatly. They've done a great job of that. And he's
Yeah.
running the ball himself, man. He had 119 of 24 for 177, 2 touchdowns, and then 11 carries for 91 yards and another 2 touchdowns. I mean, just a great day.
Yeah.
And I would put this in an S tier, A plus grade. I mean, this is he is a
It's what you
franchise
want.
guy right now. In my opinion, he is worth this year to me has proven he's worth a 2 to 3 year extension. I'm just gonna I'm just gonna say it right. He's
Yeah.
shown you a
He might
very
get
high
more than
ceiling.
that, just given the market.
Yeah, and
You know, probably be a long deal, but good for him.
he has shown you a very high ceiling and continued growth. As you have, and he's just been put through the ringer. So I'm, the media. I'm more of a fan because of the way the media just discredits him, but he's getting better and better
Yeah.
every year. And I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I could I could see them winning a playoff game. I really could if they get like the Cowboys or the Bucks or something where
If
they
they play elite at their best ball, that we've seen them beat teams they shouldn't beat. Plain and simple.
yeah,
They just have to come out firing and play a game similar to what they played yesterday.
I have to wholeheartedly agree. Okay, this takes us to Buccaneers, Panthers. Somehow, some way, he's done it again, man. He's done it again, and I'd love to hear if you have any in-depth analysis outside of it's Tom Brady finding a way to get into the playoffs, and I'm not counting him out in the playoffs.
That was the only reason I made the pick.
Yeah,
And
and we
even his
both did.
stat line is very reminiscent. I'd be curious if anyone this year has more pass attempts than Tom Brady, which is quite frankly bizarre. I mean, this guy's 46. Even like old quarterbacks right now, you think of like Rodgers and whoever, they're not even 40. Um, it's just not human is really just the word for it. I understand what he's got around him. Mike Evans had a huge day,
Wow, I've got a stat for
but
you, man.
yeah, let's hear it.
I've got a stat for you. So NFL pass attempts by the year leaders. All right. So last year,
Still have another game, by the way.
still have another game. Last year, or here's the all-time list. Okay. Uh, oh wow, that's interesting. Okay, so
Stafford might be up there.
no.
Dang.
So going back to 2019, Jameis Winston actually led with 626, and he was tied with Jared Goff. They both had 626. He was the league leader in pass attempts on the season.
Mm-hmm.
2020, Matt Ryan with Atlanta also had 626. It's kind of weird. 2021, Tom Brady, 719 pass attempts to Tampa Bay last year. Led the
Wow.
league. 2022, through 17 weeks, Tom Brady has 716 pass attempts.
Yeah, it's probably got to 40 at
Absolutely.
least.
The only number I can see higher than the 719 from 719 from last year is 2012 Stafford through
Yeah.
727 times.
Okay.
There's a couple as you go back in time. There's just no way that these numbers are going to get close. You got a 691 from Drew Bledsoe in 1994. That's pretty high up there.
That is, yeah. Especially in the 90s. Jeez. I just
Um,
remember that year Stafford had like a 70 pass attempt game, and I was like, all right, bro. Like he basically just like that's almost for some quarterbacks 3 games worth of pass attempts. Like he
Yeah,
just
well,
did it in one. That was
for
nuts.
for Zach Wilson, that's a season's worth right there. But
Literally, yeah. No.
yeah, this is a pretty cool stat line. It goes all the way back to the 30s, but yeah,
Nonetheless, shows the greatness of Tom Brady. I mean, I don't know.
I
Say
guess
that
you could
they're
call it
finding a
that.
way, but I don't think this is a team that's going to go far. You don't like rolling out Brady, but they're gonna get. I will be shocked if they don't get bounced early. They might win a game, but if they win 2 games in the playoffs, I will be like, what happened? Genuinely be like, what
Yeah, can I
happened
just
to
be
that
honest?
second team they beat?
Can
Yeah,
I just be honest? If they win 2 games in the playoffs, man, I won't be shocked in the slightest. Nothing surprises me with this guy anymore.
it's
I
so
might even
frustrating. It
lay a
doesn't make
future on the Bucks to
sense
win the Super Bowl. I mean, that's how just like likely I see this. Like it's just like there's no
to go
reason it should
anyway.
happen. There's no reason at all it should happen. But,
Yeah.
they're 8-8 somehow by the grace of God they've gotten here. Mike Evans hasn't played football all season, and then he just erupts
Shows
on the
up.
big
Yeah.
stage for 10, 207, and 3 touchdowns. I mean, what are we
What are we
doing, man?
doing? Yeah.
What it's
Unreal.
it's ridiculous. The defense still concerns me. I mean, they did give up. They got gashed by the Panthers again. Panthers running attack is well, actually, it's really Sam Darnold. Now that I'm looking at the box score. Why did I? But DJ Moore had a nice day. I mean, the defense concerns me, and so does the rushing attack from the Buccaneers. But they got Tom Brady. I'm not
Yeah. Yeah.
not worried in the slightest. Chiefs at Broncos. I'm going to skip over this. It was closer than I thought it'd be, but
That's just
you
yeah,
know what? I do have
division
something to
game.
say. I do have something to say. It's not a division game. It's an interim head coach.
Mm.
That's what it is,
Oh,
man. The
and
interim
this
head coach Chiefs.
it
Interim
was
head
big
coach
day for
Chiefs.
Russ, man. He officially passed the amount of toilets he has in his house. He's at 13 pass touchdowns for the year.
I will say this, man. Their offense having a decent day, um, to me, kind of shows how much Russ has been horrible. Don't get me wrong; he's been horrible, and the
Uh-huh.
stories that have come out have been horrible. Nathaniel Hackett has been just as bad, and we've been saying this all year. This isn't anything new to our podcast, but
Right.
it is something that's like we've seen Russ have success in a good coaching situation. If they make the right move and the right replacement, they could salvage what possibly could be the worst trade in the history of football. Right? They could
Right.
salvage. They have a good enough defense to where
They got to
they,
draft really well
yeah,
with the
like
picks they got.
they have a good enough defense and a decent enough personnel on offense that I feel like they hire the right guy. Just don't be shocked, right? Don't be shocked if there's a quick turnaround to a competitive team. I'm not saying they're going to beat the Chiefs and win the division next year.
No.
No, but don't be shocked if they are a near 500 team that is on the playoff bubble next year.
They're not going to be like bottom 5 team in the league. Like I agree with you saying they're going to be probably in that mid-tier level.
It depends on who they hire. It does depend on who they hire. They could hire somebody bad again, and we could see the exact same thing play out. But
yeah, Eric Bieniemy would be interesting.
yes, he would. He would.
Chiefs familiarity.
Yeah, that's true. Lions, Bears, man. The Bears. Me and you both picked the Lions. Jake picked the Bears. Look, the Lions, they're hungry, man. I don't know what other word to use right now. They're like, as a Packers fan, I am not confident. Like, well, I'm confident, but I'm not like overlooking them at all. Following for the Week 18. But
Right.
Justin Fields, this looks like a Week 3 Justin Fields throwing day before
Yeah,
they
it
figured
was
out how to run
really,
him.
really bad. 7
Yeah,
sacks too. He got beat up in that game.
he shouldn't be
It was
playing. If he's still dinged up at all, he shouldn't be playing
no,
at this point in
I
the
would agree.
season.
Yeah, they have
Um,
nothing left to play for.
they're going to get that number 2 pick, and I think they'll trade back. I think they'll take the extra assets. I don't blame them. If there's not a guy they like, maybe they take a receiver like in top 10 if they go trade back a little bit. There'll be teams itching
That'd
to
be cool.
go grab Stroud at the 2 spot, and I think they should take advantage of that if that makes sense. Or Young,
Absolutely.
whoever doesn't go. And they've drafted well. They made the move to get Fields. I wouldn't be surprised if they trade back. If they stick around and pick a guy, I mean, it wouldn't be the end of the world to me either. Like, honestly, it wouldn't. I wouldn't call that a massive draft day blunder, but we can talk more about that in the coming months. But as
Right.
for Justin Fields, man, the running back memes are getting funny. But do you have anything
They
to
are
say?
getting funny.
Do you have anything to say about the Lions?
Yeah. Just looking forward to next week. Yeah, really all they kind of did was just reaffirm this offense is very good. However, when the Packers Lions both met, well, I'd say almost 2 months ago now, it was like 15-9 was that final.
Yeah,
And
and that was in a
I don't
dome.
think that's gonna be listen, I know you're like, I don't want to overlook the Lions. I am going to be shocked if you see with the Steelers, right? Like they're gonna find a way to get in. The Patriots might find a way to get in.
The
Yeah, there's
Packers
some
might
bias, but
find a
the
way to get
Packers, they
in.
just find a way. They're historically, we don't miss the playoffs. We don't have these meltdowns, mid-season or at the end of the season like the Vikings do, like the Lions do, like the Bears do. And he wants against us. So I would be shocked, yes. And it would be very hard for me to have any sort of tone in my voice on next week's show if we blow this game. Gonna be honest with you. I am going to be shocked if Jared Goff marches in Lambeau and takes this overachieving, very good, very hot Lions team, but for sure, given the roster, the talent disparity. I, I saw last week what the Packers like their defense have been playing at all year, and
I
I
have
know
a
we can get
stat.
into it. Yeah, I'd love to hear
I
it.
have a stat.
Love these stats, man.
I've been counting while you were talking, so I've been half listening, half
Right, right.
counting. So this year, man, and I knew this was true. I just didn't know it, right? I knew it was true. I just needed to crunch the numbers. This year on the road, the Lions are 3-5. Okay.
Mm,
On the road, they've beaten the Jets by 3 points. Okay.
yep.
They've beaten the Giants actually pretty decently, 31-18. And they've beaten
Bears,
the
right?
Bears by 1.
Yeah. So not very inspiring. And I know it's a team that's cold in Detroit. Like they'll not be foreign to the weather. But Jared Goff, look it up, has not been good in cold games.
No, and
And
that's where I'm
being in
going with
Lambeau,
this. When they played the Panthers when the last week or
mm-hmm.
week 16, and that was the polar vortex week, right? The whole country was super cold. Got
Yeah.
blown out 37-23, and the defense got shredded. And when it comes to Packers Vikings next week, man, or Packers Lions, sorry, we'll talk about Packers Vikings here in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have some fun with it. But when it comes to Packers Lions, I think the Packers, I'm confident, but I'm not fully confident because I don't trust this team, man. As great as they've been, but the reality is the Lions defense has just been horrible, and they barely beat us when we were at our absolute worst.
Yeah.
And their
Two
offense isn't
turnovers
good.
like at the one.
The Lions have been bad rushing defense. That's the thing, and that's what we're doing really well right now. So you can go
Yeah.
ahead, continue with your thoughts, but those are my my stat of the day, I guess.
Oh, I don't have any more thoughts on the Lions. I just think their season's gonna end next week. Um,
Can they get in if they lose, or do they have to
no.
win?
They have to win, and honestly, even
And the
if they
Seahawks have to lose if they win.
yeah, if they beat us, they do still need Seattle to lose that game.
Yeah.
Um,
All right, I'm gonna take a quick victory lap here as we continue on, because I presented one of my stats of the day on Saturday when we did this, and that stat was that teams after playing the 49ers are 0-13. And I chose to take the Browns. The commies extended it to 0-14. And the Browns actually won by 2 scores, and the Commanders are out of playoff contention. But my question to you is, I really don't understand this, man. Why the random decision at this point of the year to bring back Carson Wentz?
I don't know, people are just getting on it because Carson Wentz had a bad day, and I might be the only Carson Wentz defender left.
Oh no,
But
I will
like,
always be a Carson Wentz defender. If there's one
like,
if Carson Wentz has 100 fans, I'm there. If he has 1,000 fans, I'm there. If he has millions, I'm there. If he has 1, I'm there. And if he has 0, I'm still there. With
okay,
that being said,
no.
he was freaking horrible yesterday.
He
Okay.
was really bad. Yeah, and so now I understand. Right, like you hear the question, but going into it, like Taylor Heineke, I don't say he was horrible over the stretch, but they weren't winning games, and he wasn't doing anything to win them games or put them in better position.
They did get screwed, in
Look,
my opinion. They got screwed on Sunday night, man, against the Giants.
they did. They really did. That kind of wrote their story a little bit. But Carson Wentz, he's faster. He's got a bigger arm. You've seen more explosive plays. He's just bigger as a guy. He's like 6'5". Heineke's 6 foot. Like everything checks out that Wentz should be better. But then he has a day like Sunday where you're like, how is this guy even still on a roster?
Can you really
And
blame them though? I mean, you don't play a game for 12 weeks or whatever it's been, and then
they
you
just
just
throw
get
you in to kind of save it. Yeah,
yeah.
and
They're,
that's
they're just like,
that's
oh,
been
go
more
save the day.
right, and that's been Wentz's problem when he's asked to play superhero. He's very bad, but when he was in Philly and running the system, Doug Peterson, he was having MVP numbers.
Hmm.
And so when he does this thing where he kind of runs around and gets not lackadaisical, but careless, reckless is more the right word. Just going for the hero play, just trying to will something that wasn't there. The Browns are very a sound team defensively. Um, that's what you get. Now they're
Yeah.
done. Like they're done. Their season's over. The Browns season is over, and both teams are looking forward to next year.
Thank you from a Packers fan to the
I do
Browns.
appreciate it. Yeah,
We
sealing
appreciate
things
it,
up.
and we're not the only team saying that. So, and thank you personally from me for being my correct upset pick of the week because I was very pleased and I needed it. I
No,
need I needed it because I took a risk. But the Browns, man, we'll see them next year. I'll save my thoughts for the offseason.
yeah,
Moving on, Jaguars Texans. Not much to say here other than that the Jaguars are, like I said, really hot. Like they're just really hot.
broke
Um,
that Texans curse.
they did.
I
They
mean,
did.
pretty astoundingly. It was.
I
I
just
think it
don't
was not
think the
close.
Texans are trying to win games anymore. Just
No, they
gonna
should. Just like the Bears, it's like
yeah,
you have no incentive to win. Even the Colts, you can throw in that category of try and make it like you're throwing a football team out there, but don't.
yeah,
Like just don't. Call your basic game plan, let a team beat you, and reload for next season. But
yeah.
Jaguars got a big game next week.
They
Really, they just
do.
got to close the
They're
deal, and
healthy,
they will be in.
and I think they can do it, man. I've been saying it for a couple weeks now. Okay, I got one for you. The surprise of the day for me. I did not expect this game to be close.
Mm.
49ers and Raiders go to overtime.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And let me just read 23 of 34, 365, three touchdowns, two picks from Jarrett Stidham. What are your thoughts, man? This was not a bad day. I was expecting worse.
I was actually expecting a lot worse. Um, Jarrett Stidham kind of proven a little bit that he can play. You know what I mean? He
Yeah.
came in there. It went. I thought that was gonna be just disastrous, but he looks better than Derek Carr really had as of late, and so I got to give him credit for that. I really want to hone in more on the 49ers because this is what you could chalk up the Stidham performance to, right? Is he hadn't had any game script on him, hadn't like film or anything.
Yeah.
Raiders team you didn't expect to come out and give you their best shot. It's a team that's probably not. I mean, they're out of playoff contention, but not a lot to play for. I am. Well, this team's like best defense in the NFL, and they gave up 34. Yeah, Raiders have a lot of weapons, but I feel like a lot of people, who I talk to here, is like everyone's so confident, like in the Niners, like they'll come out of the NFC, and yet I'm not buying this. Like, just they're a shoe in. They
I don't
have
think
as
they're a
many
shoe.
problems. They have like kind of as many problems, yet they very different than like the Eagles and Cowboys and Vikings. That's I think was what is weird this year. All these teams in the playoffs have different problems. It's like Buccaneers, the only thing going right for them is their quarterback. Well, the only question mark with the 49ers is Brock Purdy has been very good, but a Mr. Irrelevant from this year, I might add. So like pretty much undrafted is going to be your guy for the entire
I mean, yeah,
playoff
if
run.
he was a rookie number one overall pick, we'd still be
You're
saying, "Oh, he's a
still
rook.
saying those.
He's a
Yeah.
rook." Like this
It's
could the
playoff is
pressure
just
could
different
get to him.
ball.
Yeah.
Right. So every
Um,
team has their flaws. And if their defense isn't going to lock down, especially on a team that has had many offensive deficiencies this year, like the Raiders, concerning, especially at this time in the season. They don't have this excuse like the Eagles, like, well, their offense didn't put up, well, their main source of offense wasn't there. They had their guys. They had Nick Bosa. They had Fred Warner, all those dudes. So I am a little, I'm going to throw some concern. It's not like, oh, I think they're going to be out, but I also don't think they're this like, dominant. I think the NFC is pretty wide open right now from what I saw on
I
Sunday.
already know the back half of this take, man. I already know.
I think it's wide
Oh
open.
man. Oh man. And you're waiting until we get there to talk about it. And what's bad is I'm just as invested as you are. Look, the Niners, I get where you're coming from. I think this is a little bit of a trap game, in my opinion. From the
Yeah.
defensive side, it's like, oh, we're going against Jared Stidham. Like, we'll be fine. And, good teams
Yeah.
find a way to win. They win this game. Oh, sorry. Devontae goes off on them. I'm not concerned, honestly. They ran for, McCaffrey had 120 yards rushing. The Niners are fine. like,
Yeah, it's Raiders
like,
defense is no slouch. I think they just run a team that stops the run early. They get they just get pressure, a pick, whatever early on Brock Purdy. And the 49ers play a different game.
yeah.
I don't think if you are up 2 scores against 49ers, I think they're in trouble. I think if they are get
That's fair.
regalted where they have to go in this pass heavy game plan,
That's a fair
it's a
take.
problem. It's a
That
problem.
is a fair take. But I think Purdy's a baller, and I think he's going to be fine in the playoffs. But depending on who they play, right now it's my predictions are going to play the Packers in the wild card as the 2 seed. Depending on let me do a quick search on who the Vikings play next week. But
Man, I think you'd rather have Kirk Cousins than Brock Purdy this year. I think a lot of people would say that, right? We
well,
saw
all
how
right.
that turned out.
Before we get to Packers Vikings, man, we do have to touch Seahawks Jets. We all took the Seahawks here at home.
Geno revenge game.
Geno revenge game, and the Jets
Sent
are
the Jets
they're
home.
out. They're out, and they are
Mhm.
ice freaking cold, man. But they overachieved this year. I think they should run it back with Mike White, continue to improve the roster, and really, in my opinion, get Brees Hall back. you
That'll
know,
help.
I
That'll
hate to
help. I'm
I hate to
curious if
say
they do
that,
stick
but
with Mike White. I think
um,
it's. I don't know if they really have a
maybe they
reason
make a
not to,
move.
but
I don't know who they grab. I don't know who they get.
Derek Carr, man, I really
Maybe
love the Derek Carr thing. I really do.
maybe that's not bad.
I think Tannehill, I heard, might potentially be on the market this year. There's gonna be some interesting names. So, just a steady name, I think, would really help them.
All right, let's dive in here because I don't have much else to add about the Seahawks. They got to win and have a Packers loss to get in. So
Right.
that's what I have to say. Let's talk about the real meat of this week, man. The real game of the week, called by Tony Romo himself. That's how you know it's an important game.
Oh yeah.
Um, the Vikings go into Green Bay and get freaking embarrassed. And I just want to say something right now because I know he's listening. Look out if you see us again, man, because Jair Alexander just revived himself. I don't know where he came from, but man, I loved every second of this game, man. This is just, I hate to be that guy and run the victory lap on the Packers, but they played a
No, it
flawless
needs to
game.
be done, man.
They
It
played a
needs to be
flawless
done.
game, and the reality is nothing went wrong for the Packers in this game. 2 special teams touchdowns. They're up
I
14.
mean, we got a punt blocked early, and it felt like that didn't even matter.
That's a
Like the,
very
the
valid
Vikings
point.
got set up on the 1 yard line and still couldn't score. And that's what I knew. I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be a great day.
Can I just, you know, man, when it comes to Kirk Cousins, I love the guy. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks. He's, like I actually really love Kirk Cousins. I think he's one of those guys that has just absolutely maximized everything he could have got out of his career. Does that make sense? Like every single ounce of Like he's just maximized what he's been able to achieve in his career, right? Like with what he's
Yeah,
been given by God, and like he's like I don't know,
that's fair.
and his scenarios and whatnot. But the reality is there's a difference between Kirk Cousins and the greatest ones to ever do it, man. In the big moments, those guys show up. And in the big moments, this guy doesn't. And he throws 3 interceptions. Not all his fault, but the reality is I think it just boils down to one simple thing. And I want to hear your thoughts on this. One simple thing that continuously has haunted Kirk. And I think Vikings fans may agree, continuously haunted Kirk in the biggest games of his career. When he gets on the big stage, he doesn't do this normally, but when he gets on the big stage, I think he hesitates just a little and he holds on to the ball just a little too long sometimes. And it
Oh yeah.
really, really costs them. Multiple sacks and big moments, tipped balls, just throw it away, man. And I think that holds him back. I really do. And as for Justin Jefferson, man, I'm sorry you couldn't get to 2K, but maybe next year.
Yeah, because oh boy, he basically could have sat out this game and it wouldn't have done a whole lot for his
He did. He
numbers.
did. I say that, but he really did cost me a championship. So I'm kind of
Worth,
salty about it too. But it was worth it. It was worth it.
yeah, and oh boy, I hate to bring this up, man. I hate to bring it up.
He needs 239 next week to get there, which I know they're going to be giving it to him too.
So the worst team, and that all right, this is 12-4. Okay. And look, Jake, I know you brought up the show, the point differential. Like, why does it matter? Why does it matter? Normally it doesn't. Because the worst team, I went and had to research this to make sure I was confident what I was saying.
I feel bad.
The
Before
worst
before you
team.
go here, I feel bad that he's not here to defend himself. Like we gotta
Well,
have.
you can defend it all you want. This is the numbers. I didn't have the numbers last week. I was just like, they have the worst point differential I've ever seen. Like, oh, it doesn't matter. Okay. The worst point differential team that we've ever seen since the merger was the 2016 Raiders. It was still plus 34. The Vikings are currently sitting at minus 33. So that is not only a 60-point difference. We know that 2016 Raiders team, even with Derek Carr healthy, like they lost to the Texans that year. Even with Derek Carr healthy, there's no guarantee they win that game. I'm looking at this Vikings team, how bad they got ate up on both sides of the ball. And furthermore, to the real contenders of the league that they played this year. And then all these close wins to crap teams. We thought the Giants are frauds. I'm stamping the label on the fraud of the season. It's the Minnesota Vikings. They are not winning a playoff game. I know that might be a just wow overreaction, but that was disgusting. Too? They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't get it to Justin Jefferson. Kirk Cousins was just throwing it. He had 3 picks, barely got the 50% completion percentage. Like everything was so bad. There's nothing I can say to be like, well, they might get a game. No.
Wasn't it 41-3 at one point?
I think it was 41-3 at one point. And then actually, who came in? Nick Mullins. And
Nick
actually
Mullins
came in and gave him some life. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Harder argument. Like 60 points from the next lowest ever, 12-14.
That's the reality of the situation is we've never, Jake's point of, and I really wish he was here. I feel bad. Like, it's not fair. Okay. Like, just being straight. It's not fair that you're not here, my man. We'll have you back on. I know you're listening. So we'll have you back on and we'll give you a chance to defend yourself. And hopefully it's before the Vikings get eliminated. I'm actually hoping for another Vikings rematch because
I would too. That'd be a great way to advance.
Yeah.
Nice free walk in the park. Yeah.
Anyways, when it comes to the point differential stat, the reason it's never been talked about is because it's never been relevant. It's never been a thing. It's never been a problem. And this team, let's just do some numbers, man. Let's take a walk. 23-7, blow out the Packers in week 1. Win your Super Bowl. Then you get blown out 24-7. Then you beat the Lions barely by 4, 28-24. You beat the Saints 28-25. You beat the Bears 29-22. common theme here in giving up a lot of points to bad teams, especially the Bears in week 5. They were horrible.
Right.
Beat the Dolphins 24-16. I think that's a really good win. Actually, they were really hot at that point. I don't remember if Tua played or not, but it doesn't matter. Vikings 34, Cardinals 26. A lot of points to a poor team. Beat the Commanders by 3. Beat the Bills by 3 in overtime. We all know what happened there. Then you lose by 37 to the Cowboys. Okay. You beat the Patriots 33-26. That's a bubble playoff team that you beat by 1 score. Beat the Jets, bubble playoff team 27-22. Lose to the Lions by 9. Then you beat the Colts by 3 in overtime. We all know what happened there. Great day, but then you beat the Giants, another bubble playoff team, by 3. And then you go into Lambeau and you're losing by 38 points at one point. And you do get some points back. But look, the bigger concern here is, like I've said all season, this isn't a take about the Packers. This isn't a take about anything other than the Vikings, 11 starters on the defensive side of the ball. They are nowhere near good enough to contend in any league ever. Pick a year. No defense is as bad as this team, as this 12-win team. That's going to be a number 2 seed probably in the playoffs, or number 3 actually at this point. I'm selfishly hoping they can beat the Bears and get back to the number 2 seed, because then we play them. And I know they're good at home, but I just don't want to play San Francisco, because if we play San Francisco, our season's over.
Maybe. I know the history, man. I really do. And we've talked a lot about it on this show, so I don't have a lot to say for that. But the way things are going, you want to get hot at the right time. And it feels to me, we've brought up now, the 49ers had a close, dicey pullout win. The Eagles lost 2 straight. All the teams around us are getting cold when we're now getting hot. And that's been a year that it's been different, from season to season. That's not always been the case.
I got to give you credit, man.
Something's in the air. I got to
give you credit. Week 10 rolled around and you were pulling out the stats and you were like, in 2010, we were 4-6. We went 10-6, and we won the Super Bowl as a wild card.
In that playoff run, we were an underdog as well. That is another stat. Went in against Vic in that 2010 Eagles team. You know what else is another stat?
Rodgers has only thrown 13 interceptions twice in his career. Wow. 2010 and 2022.
Really?
Yep.
Lucky number 13.
Lucky number 13.
Can't say I'm saying that about interception numbers. Yeah. It's just something in the air. Yeah. It's something weird about this NFL season, man.
There's something weird, man. This team's hot at the right time. And from the most biased perspective I can possibly say, okay, we just had our best game of the year by far on all phases. Offense, defense, special teams. Best defensive performance since, I don't even know. You could go back maybe a decade, and I don't remember a better Packers defensive performance. I'm going to be brutally honest, right?
It's been that long,
offense, firing on all cylinders, taking care of the ball, running the ball, milking the clock. 2 special teams touchdowns. We did have a punt blocked, special teams blunder, so that's a good point. I did forget about that. But look,
big deal.
Hot at the right time. Talk about the Bengals. Talk about the Bengals last year and this year. Talk about the Chargers right now. Okay, we talked about the Colts last year before they phased out week 17 and 18. All these teams that get hot at the right time. The Packers 2010. I'm sure there's dozens others, right? Here we are talking about a team that's won 4 straight and just is absolutely running the table. Now, I wouldn't put it past this Packers team to go lose to Detroit next week. And that's why I'm not getting,
it's still got to get something done.
But one at a time, man. Wouldn't it be something if Rodgers finally they get to the wild card, backs against the wall, no Devontae, and they play the Niners in week 1, and he finally fields off the woes, probably goes and plays maybe Dallas in the divisional. We all know how that's gonna go, right? And then we got to beat Philly, right? Or Minnesota. Maybe a Minnesota national NFC championship. I would love to beat another division rival in the NFC championship and go win a Super Bowl. It'd be great.
Uh-huh.
But I don't think the Vikings are going to win a playoff game, so I don't think they'll be there. But yeah, man, hot at the right time. That's just the unbiased um, cartoon exclamation points are going off in my head about this team. And
I mean, yeah, they just beat the second best team record wise in the NFC. And when you lose by 8 to the Eagles, I don't think anybody in that locker room is like, kind of scared and nervous of they're playing their best ball. I think this team really thinks they got a shot to beat anybody. They
I
got a
love
bunch
it.
of young guys
I
playing with
love it.
number 12. All right.
I love it.
Just
I can't
masterclass
see
day.
the
Couldn't have
problem
been
is
happier.
I can't sit here and do the number 12 praise because I've been hating all year. But don't act like I don't.
I'm staying the course, man.
You've
I'm
stayed
staying
the
it too.
course. I respect you. I still got to pick the Lions to win next week. But I said
Do
that
your
goes to the
thing,
regular
man.
season. But
I
man,
respect that. I would have
what's
changed up
a
at some
my
point.
what's this? Well, I can't change it now. It's
No,
working.
hey, man of your
It's
word. Man of
it's
your word,
working,
yeah.
man. I can't change it.
It's like the Dr. Pepper commercial, really random, but the guy like every time he goes down to get like or maybe it was Bud Light, he like goes down the basement to get a drink. It was a couple years ago. They score.
Yeah.
And then so like at a certain point, the game's close, the kicker's like lining up for the kick. He's like, Tom, dude, I gotta do. It like goes into the basement. That's you. You're just like, all right, well, can't look and watch this team greatness or pick them to win, but I'll take the L on my record.
Oh,
Go
it's
with the
so
Bears.
worth it.
Go with the Lions. Yeah, it is.
It
If
pains
this
me
is a
so
path
much,
to the
but
Super Bowl,
it's working, man.
oh, I'll take it, man. I will take that superstition.
um,
Um, was there any other afternoon games? I know we wanted to
yeah,
save that
so we
one.
got Chargers Rams.
Oh,
We don't need to talk
yeah.
about this.
Austin
I will
Eckler
say
just being
though,
that guy.
I will say hot at the right time, man. They are smoking hot and they're blowing
And
teams out.
far and away above that
And
500 mark.
they are becoming a very big, very popular Super Bowl take right now. I
Romo
don't know
loves
if they,
him, yeah.
I don't know if they've got the legs to go through the gauntlet,
Yeah,
but I
I
do
don't think they have
trust
the
Herbert.
coaching. I
I
don't
don't
think they
think
have the coach.
that's the bottom line. I'm just gonna be honest.
Yeah,
But they are getting Bosa back. They're getting Bosa back, and he's
it
a
helps.
absolute
It really does help.
game
Yeah.
changer. When you got to go play guys like Mahomes, Burrow, and Allen, he is a game changer. When you pair him with him and Mac, oh boy, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
um, so
No doubt.
and then Steelers Ravens. I gained one up on you here. I really did. Steelers Ravens.
Oh, yeah.
Like you
I
said,
was,
Tomlin effect. Follows the Packers, follows the Ravens even.
Kenny
Invite
Pickett, too, making a throw his life.
yeah,
I
yeah.
really thought the Ravens were going to just hold tight and win. It was typical, like under 20 points for both teams.
Which we both
Ravens,
did say.
Steelers.
We both did
Yeah,
say
it's
that, and I was like, all
so
right, you took the
typical.
Ravens, I'm going to take the Steelers. Like I'm just going to take the risk.
Could
And
have went either way, yeah.
paid off, man. And I really like the Packers this week, so I could have saved myself
Well,
there.
the
But
Steelers got to be
take
in
the
good spots.
sacrifice.
If you finish 9-8, and TJ Watt was hurt for a good part of the year, and you finish 9-8 with a rookie quarterback, I mean, this team's only going to be better next year. You know what I mean? They're not going to get any worse. And
All
so
right,
if I'm a Steelers fan, I'm pretty happy with how things are going down right now.
So the Steelers, they need to win. I'm assuming they need the Patriots to beat the Dolphins, which did happen, and then the Seahawks to beat the Jets, which did happen, and then next week they win. They're in. If they win, the Bills win, and the Jets beat the Dolphins.
Okay.
So actually, it's not out. I think the Bills are going to beat the Patriots. They need to beat the Browns. And then the Jets need to beat the Dolphins, and the Steelers from nowhere, no one saw it coming, sneak into the AFC playoffs.
Unreal.
That
Absolutely
would be something.
unreal.
That would be something.
But even if they don't, it's like they're this team. They just find ways. It's the franchise. They
I love
win.
it, man. So much respect.
Yeah,
if I wasn't a Packers fan, I'd be a
yeah.
Steelers. I'm just going to be honest. And that's not a bandwagon in me at all. I just like the way they do things. That's just like, they're just a winning. They find ways to win.
Fair take.
That takes us to Monday Night Bengals Bills. I'm rolling with the Bengals. You're rolling with the Bills. The score is currently 7-3 as we record this right now. So close game still, right about the end of the first quarter. But as of right now, I'm 13-2
On the week.
on the week, and you are 11-4.
Okay.
So this could
So
be a
yeah, this
three-game
would
swing. Jake's sitting at 9-6. He's got the Bengals. Pretty solid, pretty valiant performance if the Bengals win and he gets a 10-win week. That anytime you go double digits, that's really solid. Um,
right.
so um, yeah, this is going to matter a lot. Just going to be brutally honest, and I do want it. I do want the record to show. I want the record to show. Okay, that I wanted to pick Packers. I could be 14-1, but I couldn't do it, man. Couldn't do it.
For the
Um,
sake of it, for the
so
sake of the
so
Packers season.
worth every penny, man. I don't care what I have to do. Worth every penny, man. I even put money on the Vikings money line. It was worth it, man. Worth. I would put
Respect.
so
I got
much.
so much respect.
All right, so I was down 5 games, I believe.
Yeah, so you're closing the gap
I was
here.
down 5. That's going to close it to 2 or 3 going into next week.
Yeah.
And so that takes us to frenzy, where I was down down bad, 60 something points here, and
Oh,
I might have made it up. So I'm up 134-78. You've still got Josh Allen and Joe Mixon, so and
okay.
Evan McPherson.
Still, man.
So
Tough.
Jefferson and Saquon kind of hurt you a little bit, and I just
Oh.
kind of was solid across the board except for my Christian Watson pick. That was quick summary. Got a nice day out of
Thing
Goff and Eckler.
probably did the same amount as Justin Jefferson, though. Goff was a good pick.
Yeah,
That wasn't really good pick
Watson
out of
and
nowhere.
Jefferson basically washed. That's a good point.
All right. All right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, that takes us. We will not be back tomorrow for NBA Tuesday. I'll be on the road, so we'll be back next week with NBA Tuesday. But we'll catch you guys on Thursday for a Week 18 preview as we head into playoff season. Thanks again for listening, guys. Be sure to check us out on Instagram, TikTok. We'll be posting a lot of new content on TikTok in the new year, and looking for new ways to engage with you guys. So we'll be sure to have new ideas, new segments, especially as we head into the off season. Do some off season analysis, some suggestions, some plans. But first, we got to get this Super Bowl push, and we're going to crown a new champion. So I'm excited for the playoffs and to watch the Packers probably break my heart again. But I am ready to be hurt again. I didn't think I'd be here, but I am. So
Ready to go. Yeah.
as always, thanks again for listening, guys, and be sure to check us out on Thursday for Week 18 preview.
Take care.